fellow Frizzle Frisbees. In just 3 words, the Heartstrikers series is wholesome, magical, speculative. The main character in this series is Julius the Dragon. And what would you think if I told you that his dominant personality trait was being nice? You might ask yourself, have we teleported into a kid's cartoon? Because though being nice can be a character trait, it can't be an entire character. And yet, it is the majority of Julius's character, and it's done really well. And here's the reason for that. Because Julius is a dragon, and he has been disowned by his dragon family because he's too nice, because he's not draconic enough. He needs to be like stealing gold and, I don't know, eating children. How dare he be nice? So for Julius, being nice isn't just like a cool protagonisty thing to do. For him, being nice is an act of rebellion against his family's culture. It is an active choice, and he is aggressively nice. It's not just that he's kind to people. It's that in situations where the culturally acceptable thing to do is to cheat someone or lie or do something, he refuses to, and he stands up for his principles of being nice. And it's just such an optimistic kind of character that his strength is that he isn't going to back down on this. If he's handed a situation where people are trying to fight him, he's going to try to talk them down first. He's always trying to de-escalate the situation and make friends instead of enemies. And let me tell you, this becomes a superpower. Just imagine, the regular reputation of dragons is not trustworthy. So if Julius gets a reputation for being trustworthy, suddenly he can make allies and make deals that no other dragon could make. And in a lot of ways, he becomes the most powerful dragon in the world because of this simple skill of being trustworthy. So kindness as a superpower, super wholesome. I loved it. It very much enhanced this book with that as a theme. Now, like any superpower, it is subject to power creep, which is where your main character keeps getting more and more powerful until the conflicts aren't really hard for them anymore. And this does happen to Julius. In book 1, Julius is still struggling to make deals with people. He's still struggling to convince dragons to follow his ideals. But by the end of the series, his diplomacy skills have become so overpowered that he can kind of change entire societies with a few speeches. Like even, oh, that person, our sworn enemy for thousands of years? Just give me a few minutes with her. It'll be fine. So back in book 1, when Julius made a rousing speech about how they should work together and everyone did work together, I was cheering. But by book 5, the speeches were getting a little long and repetitive and dull, and there was no drama because I never actually expected anyone to say no, which they don't really. So the idea got power creeped, and that's kind of sad, isn't that? Let me talk about another thing that I really loved near the beginning of the series, and by the end of the series I loved a little less, which is the main couple. We've got Julius, and we've got the love interest and other main character in this series, Marcy. Marcy is what I would give as the definition of a really well done, strong female protagonist. She gets her own plots that are just as important as the dragon politics plots. Marcy gets to be strong and brave and inventive and smart, and yes, please to all of the above. Marcy and Julius also definitely have crushes on each other, and for a while, the juicy intensity of this relationship is that neither of them is confident enough to make the first move. And then eventually they get over that, become a couple, and then the conflict kind of becomes them giving enough space and support to each other. Because like I said, they have their own kind of related, but mostly separate plot lines. And they're both very dominant personalities, where you could worry that one of their plot lines would engulf the other. And the drama becomes they have to learn to trust each other to go on their own side plots. They have to learn to trust each other's lead when they're helping each other in those side plots. That the other one knows best in their own respective spheres. Another reason why they're an awesome power couple is that they learn to do this really well. But then once that drama is resolved, they do get a happily ever after, but it's like, where's the interest left in this relationship? A relationship doesn't need drama in every single book, but if the main plot is also running out of drama steam because of the aforementioned power creep, you need to get some dramatic tension from somewhere. And it did not come from this relationship either. But I definitely ship them very hard, and they're a nice power couple. A+. Shifting gears, I would like to discuss the world building. This series is both fantasy and sci-fi and post-apocalyptic. It's got all the speculative genres and it works. Fantasy, dragons, magic, of course. Sci-fi, this also takes place in the future with self-driving cars, etc. Post-apocalyptic, because this also takes place a few decades after magic has returned to the world after being in a non-magical state, and that caused quite a ruckus in everything. But now they've mostly rebuilt. Bada bing, bada boom, you get a very interesting layered world there. But honestly, my favorite part of the world building is the culture of dragons, which is very possessive and domineering and competitive, but it doesn't feel too comic book goofy. It just feels like, you know, a human culture with those dials turned up a little bit and the dial of mercy maybe turned down a little bit, and there you go, you got your dragons. And even with Julius, our character that has rejected dragon culture, you still see the roots of this personality and culture in him. Because yes, he is very possessive, and a lot of this is directed towards Marcy, his love interest, and you might think, possessive love interest, that sounds so toxic. But Julius is possessive in the way that he's like, we will keep Marcy safe, and we will also preserve Marcy's ability to make her own decisions. He's not letting anyone else make Marcy's decisions for her, except Marcy, including himself. Yes, he gets very worried when she's injured, and yet he completely trusts her to make her own decisions, to hang out with other dragons. Because one of the things that he's possessive over is her autonomy. And I really liked that, both as an example of a healthy way to show a possessive personality trait, and also just a way to show the reflection of dragon culture that he's grown up with and kind of rejected, but also kind of kept that baggage along with him. Another thing with that is that dragons are very into like debts and deals and stuff. Julius has decided, I have turned my back on all that. But of course now he's swung too far on the other side of the pendulum, and he is so anti-debt that it's kind of comical. That if someone says that they owe him, he's like, no, you do not owe me anything. There is no debt between us ever, never. Am I clear? So even though he has rejected debts, he is still seeing the world this way and still obsessed with them. It's just in the exact opposite direction. The magic system is between super hard and soft, and we do get a lot of details. I would argue around books 4 and 5, a little too many details, honestly. There were a lot of long pages explaining some magic things. But in the end, the whimsical, wholesome tone won me over. I can forgive the power creep and the too much details exposition on the magic system, because these books are so rich in the optimism of the power of kindness, while also having their fun share of fun battle sequences and interesting villains and fun character dynamics, even down to the dragons that can see the future meddling in everything. If you're looking for a very cozy fantasy novel with dragons and future tech and very competent mages, this is definitely the series for you. Because even though I can point out the flaws of the series, it was also really the series for me. I rated this series 4.6 stars. If you made it to the end of the video, leave a dragon emoji in the comments, and thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this one on Frizzle Fridays.